Okay, so today's session is packed full of information for you. So I better introduce myself. So for those that joined a bit earlier, my name's Bernie. I'm the founder of the Eden Collective Coaching and Mentoring, and I'm honoured to spend this time with you today. Grab a pen and paper, take some notes as we go through the session, and we'll also have a Q&A session at the end. So as you get questions going through, feel free to write them down or type them in the comments box, and I'll answer those at the end for you. So it's an interactive session. Apart from commenting, you'll also see some polls come up on the right-hand side of the screen. So those are little surveys so that we can interact together and we can get a feel for how the information is coming across for you. So over my 20-year career, I've had the challenge, like we all do, of really understanding my thoughts and their impact both on myself and on others. And I've learned through making mistakes like we do, learning from those and learning from other people, and then trying again. So I'm hoping from today's session that I will be able to pass on to you some quick tips to help you get through those stages. So I understand now how important it is to master your thoughts. It's one of the keys to unlocking your own personal success. So really being yourself. I've got a coaching business that helps people every day to change their lives. So I know the practices that we're going to talk about today work. So that's why I really wanted to share them with you. So today's session will help you if you're someone who's maybe challenged by your thoughts or your thinking patterns. It's for people who really want to change their thoughts and they want to change their lives for the better, to be fulfilled, to be successful, to be happier, to manage their own stress, to harness their motivation, and to be the leader of your own life, to be free. So I think it's an opportunity for us all to learn. So if that sounds like you, I've got some techniques for you. So who it might not help. So if you're someone who's, pretty happy with their lot, you don't believe that you can control yourself or the situations you find yourself in, or you're someone that believes we don't have any choice in our life, today might not be for you. So for anyone else here, I've got a special offer later on for you, valued at $150. So listen out for it. So results take effort, persistence, and some practice. So I'll show you what I know and what I do. And your end of the bargain is to take responsibility for yourself and your actions. So is that a deal? Good. Let's get started. Okay, so what we're going to cover today. So we know it's important to be able to master your mind. So do thoughts come up for you in terms of bringing up situations that you worry about, that you might stress about, they might frustrate you? Do your thoughts stop you going to places or doing things, being successful? Maybe they hinder your relationships or stop you earning what you're really worth. And do they hold you back from being the person that you really know you are? So these are all common outcomes of our unhelpful thoughts. So where do they come from? What good and not so good outcomes do they give us? And what understanding unhelpful thoughts do you encounter, and how do you master them? What exactly, how do you tackle those unhelpful thoughts? That's exactly what we'll cover today. So let's jump right in. So let's have a look at where our thoughts come from. So they come from three main areas. So the brain is one of them. So the brain's made of three parts there. The cerebrum, which is the largest part of your brain, mostly, towards the front of your head. This is where your skills, remembering, problem solving, thinking, feeling, reside in our brain, among other things. Then you've got the cerebellum, which is predominantly at the back of your head, which is where things like coordination and our balance reside, among other things. And then we've got the brainstem or the reptilian brain. So this is thought to be about 500 million years old. So this is where our automatic functions and reactions reside. So you've got your breathing and your digestion and some other automatic functions in there. But the interesting bit for us is about our thought process. So this is where our fight or flight reaction initiates. So you'll have heard about fight or flight. It's the reaction meant to protect us in caveman times when we came up against maybe a huge tiger while we were out hunting and we needed to either fight or flee. The trouble is that old part of our brain can't perceive the difference between real threats and modern day threats that might be created by our reactions to maybe a lesser situation. So the threat of stepping out in the road and having a close call with a speeding car, that's a real life-threatening issue. It will produce fear for you versus being asked to stand up and do a presentation in front of your work team. That's something that you might be concerned about, but it's not life-threatening, but it will produce anxiety. So the reptilian brain may perceive the threats in exactly the same way, and it elicits the same fight or flight reaction and then the thoughts that come from that. So that's one place that our thoughts initiate, an automatic response to a perceived modern day threat in everyday life. And that shows up for us as an emotion, as anxiety, but also in our thoughts. So the next place is our nature or nurture. So this could be formed through our DNA. So maybe an inherited imbalance in our brain hormones influences how we think, or our conditioning from our own upbringings. So we train our brains to think in a certain way. So these might be ways that you think about how much effort you put in versus how much reward you get. So you work hard at work or school, you get good results, and you get a reward. This happens over and over, and it's conditioned into our brain that this is the way to receive a satisfying reward. You put in lots of effort, you get good results, you get rewarded. Or maybe it's the other end of the scale. So maybe verbal put downs. So you might have experienced this during childhood or your early years in your upbringing. Maybe somebody saying things like you're useless or you're stupid. It changes our ways of thinking. This is called conditioning. This is conditioning in our early years. And then the final way is the beliefs that we form throughout life. So we've all got beliefs. We've got beliefs about how the world should be, how others should act or react. We have beliefs about ourselves and who we are and what's right and wrong. So what we don't always realise is we see the world through our own belief filter. So we may have a belief about things like how parents should control their children, or we might have a belief about the only proof of being intelligent is if you've got a degree. You might believe that you're not good enough to get a higher paid job. You're not good enough to have the job you've got. So I'm going to give you an example of this, and I am going to show you a little poll and ask you to take part in that. So I'm going to read you a story, an example of some children on the train. And if you've got a belief about how children should behave in public, this will speak directly to you. So imagine I was sitting quietly on the train. Me and the people around me were reading newspapers. Some were lost in thought, some resting their eyes closed. It was a calm and peaceful scene. Suddenly, a man and his children entered the train carriage. The children were so loud and boisterous that instantly the whole climate changed. The man sat down next to me and closed his eyes, apparently oblivious to the situation. The children were yelling back and forth, throwing things, grabbing people's papers. It's very disturbing. And yet the man sat next to me and did nothing. So it was difficult not to feel irritated. I couldn't believe that he'd be so insensitive as to let his children run wild like that and do nothing about it, taking no responsibility at all. It was easy to see that everyone else on the train felt irritated too. So finally, with what felt like unusual patience and restraint, I turned to him and said, "Sir, your children are really disturbing a lot of people. I wonder if you could control them a little more." So in our poll, what were your thoughts? So the question that I asked was, what were your thoughts doing when you heard the story of the man on the train? So 50% of you have said you were annoyed. You know, if it was me, I would have said something too. 40% said I was judging him for not controlling his children. Good, thanks for being honest. And the last 10% said I thought it was up to him, what him and his kids do on the train. And all of you are right. They are your belief filters that are pointing you in the direction of the opinion that you have. So really, I'll tell you the next part of the story, and that's just to finish the story in terms of you having closure on what happened next. But really, what I wanted to illustrate is that we all view the world through a different belief filter. So the man lifted his gaze as if to come to consciousness of the situation for the first time and said softly, "Oh, you're right. I guess I should do something about it. We just came from the hospital, you see, where their mother died an hour ago. I don't know what to think, and I really don't know how to handle it either." So you may be looking back and you may have changed your initial judgment on the situation or your initial opinion of the situation. Your thoughts may have changed because you have some more facts. But I think it's important to understand that that's how we view our own, through our own belief filter. So let's move on to what our thoughts cause. So beliefs cause our thoughts in some situations, and they're formed at stages through life, and they're reinforced by a similar situation or thing happening a number of times over. And then we believe that situation and our thoughts and our response to it is the truth. And we store that in our brain. And that becomes a belief that we see the world through. So beliefs can be challenged and changed. So there's hope for us all. So we talked briefly about what thoughts, how thoughts are caused. Generally, an incident happens, your brain processes it, and then the thought arises. And depending on your beliefs, this will either be a positive thought or an unhelpful thought. So let's talk about positive thoughts first. So they help you drive towards a goal or a desired outcome. They change how your body operates. So I want to show you something. Let's try something. So come with me on a journey. Close your eyes, or if you can't close your eyes, focus on a point in the room. Think of a time when everything for you was great. So you were in the flow, you were achieving everything you wanted to. You were really in that moment. You've got a picture of that in your mind. Now turn that picture into a moving picture so you can see the scene around you. You can see the situation happening. Now you can hear the sounds around you when it's happening. Look around in that scene, in that moving picture, and feel the feelings that you felt at that time. So things were going great. It was a really good situation. Now turn up the colours, the clearness and the brightness of those colours in your mind. Make the sounds clearer, louder. Are there smells? Make your nose more sensitive to those smells. Feel those feelings again more intensely. Now breathe in. How good's this moment? Okay, now gently come back to us on the webinar. Open your eyes or refocus. Now, does that feel good? It should feel good. You accessed a positive moment in your life. So you focused on it and nothing else. You basked in the beautiful feelings and images. Now you might feel more settled, more content, happy in the moment. Your body might have relaxed and you might have a smile on your face. So there you see the power of positive thought. It can change your physical appearance as well. It can relax your muscles. Your shoulders might relax and drop lower. You might have released endorphins or happy chemicals, making you smile. So enjoy that moment. So now we've established where our thoughts come from and why we all have a different view of the world, because we view it through our own belief filter. So how would it be if we mastered our mind? Would we be focused, happier, in the moment, more content? So I think you might be nodding. So would you like to hear how I manage my stress, reduce my frustration and angst, and have become a happier, more fulfilled, really authentic person? Good. I can see you nodding. So today we're going to look at 3 practices. So there's, of course, more ways that you can practice to master your mind, but we all have to start somewhere, and these are both practical and powerful. So step 1 is to notice your thoughts. So the the first step in noticing our thoughts is to recognize that many of us go about our day and don't notice the thousands of thoughts whizzing around in our head. So being in the now and noticing your thoughts is commonly part of a mindfulness teaching. Quick to do, but takes practice to implement on a regular habit. So for example, you're here right now with me on this webinar. So do you have other screens open that you might be looking at or thinking about? Are you having thoughts about the webinar, about the content, about my pace, about my voice? What about what's for lunch or dinner? Is your mind off exploring what I've said? What is that thought that you're thinking right now? There, you noticed it. That's the first step. Notice what you're thinking. Notice what's going through your mind and how your belief system is influencing what you're seeing and hearing and feeling. So you did it. That's the first step. So I haven't forgotten the special offer that's going to be available to everyone who's joining today. It's coming up at the end of the event. So we've established how thoughts come about, why we're all different, and our beliefs about the world. So back to my practices to manage stress, reduce frustration and angst, and become happier. So the 3 practices, there are, of course, lots more ways, like we said, but the first step is to notice your thoughts. So again, I'm going to pop a little survey on the side, and I'm going to ask you if you have any unhelpful thoughts. So if you do, just pop in that survey. So first step is to hone the practice of noticing our thoughts, because many of us go about our day and don't notice all the thousands of thoughts going through our mind. So my challenge to you is, over the next 24 hours, can you manage to notice your thoughts? So let's talk about some unhelpful thoughts. So our poisonous parrot, he sits on our shoulder. He tells us unhelpful things over and over again. He's been trained over many years, you see. So understanding what he says, hearing it, like we just discussed, and then questioning it will help your parrot learn a new language of helpful thoughts. So let's look at what unhelpful thoughts are. Some of them might fit in these categories, and this isn't an exhaustive list, but let me explain with some examples. So an example of predicting the future. So you're not going to be successful at this new job. That might be predicting the future. You're already predicting you're not going to be successful. Mind reading. I can tell that they don't like me. I don't fit in. Catastrophizing is another one we do. I was late for work and now my day's totally ruined. It's all my fault. I always bring bad luck to everyone. Overgeneralizing. I didn't get that job that I just interviewed for. I'm never going to get a job. I should, or I must. A lot of us do this. I should have been better. I should have done more. And labeling is the last one that I want to talk about today. You're not good enough for that job. Don't even apply. So does any of that sound familiar? Fill in our poll on the right-hand side. So if it sounds familiar, just click yes. If it doesn't, feel free to click no. So let's have a look at that. So how about he or she doesn't like me? That's why they never talk to me. They don't care about me. I'm a loser. You can't stand up and present in front of your colleagues. You'll look stupid. What if I miss the bus? I'll be late and lose my job. So can you relate? Can you relate to these things? They're not the only categories of thought, like we've said, but these are common among people like us. So how many of these think that? So over 60% of us think these thoughts. So the real way to master these is to first notice them. The next one's to question it. So I want you to come with me on a journey if you can relate to these unhelpful thoughts. So either you can use your own unhelpful thought in the scenario we're going to go through, or you can come with me on the journey of the one I'm about to tell you. So think about it, either your thought or what I'm saying. Say it in your head and feel the feelings it creates, the emotions. And then allow yourself to hear the questions and to answer them. So either use your own or come with me while I tell you this situation. So you're crafting a confidential email. You're at work. It's very sensitive information that only a real distinct group of people are allowed to know. It's the end of the day. You're in a rush. You focus on getting the content of the email exactly right. You put in the recipients, one last check of the content, and you hit send. The notification on your email is set to bing whenever you receive an email. So as you pack up your desk at the end of the day, suddenly bing, bing, bing. Look around, your email box is filling up with replies to the email you just sent. You think, that's weird. Then you open the first one, scan quickly down it, and you get a flush of embarrassment, adrenaline, fear, anxiety. You think, oh my God, what have I done? It's been sent to someone you shouldn't have. The confidential email is out there in the wrong person's email box. So what do you do? What do you think? What are you saying to yourself? Are you saying, oh my God, I'll get the sack? Are you saying, I can't believe I was that stupid? These are things that our thoughts tell us. So now I want you to hold on to that thought. So whatever your thought is about that situation or your own, now I want to ask yourself these questions. Is there real evidence to support that thought? Is there real facts that say that thought is true? Now think, is there evidence to say it's untrue? Have you got evidence or facts that say that thought might not be true? The next question is, am I trying to think about this situation without all the facts? So do you have all the facts? Do you really know you're going to get the sack? What would a friend think about this situation? So if you told a friend, what would they think? Now, if you switch it around, look at the situation positively, how's it different? Now, the last question I want you to ask is, will this matter a month from now? Will it matter a year from now? How about 5 years from now? Okay, so if you've been with me, refocus. Now you've asked yourself these questions, you've thought through your answers, and now you should have come up with a more balanced or rational view of the situation. So how does that thought sound now? So that thought of, I'm going to get the sack, for example, or your own thought, is the original thought still correct? Or have you recognized that maybe it doesn't help you? Maybe it's not true. So in this moment, when you're asking questions, you're not reacting to the thought. What you're actually doing is you're able to see it and observe it. You're able to ask it questions and then give it perspective and insight. You did all that yourself just by asking questions. So you might not have reacted like you're originally going to react to the situation after you've given it this kind of perspective. So it's a powerful tool for managing your thoughts. So let's move on. So we said we were looking at the first step of noticing your thought. So my challenge to you was to notice as many thoughts as you can in the next 24 hours. So how hard can that be, right? Well, let's do a quick poll. I'd like to see how many of you believe, according to statistics that are out at the moment, what percentage of time do you think our mind wanders and we're not being mindful? So have a look at that. We've got some options there for you. So how much of the time do you think our mind wanders? So is it 40%, 50%, 60%, or maybe more than 60%? Think about yourself. How much time are you actually present in the moment? And click on that poll. So what have we got here? We have, most of you think anywhere between 50 and 60% of the time your mind's wandering. That's probably about right. Probably most people, according to our statistics, 50% of our time, our mind wanders. 90% on the commute to work. So that's research that Daniel Gorman's done, tells us that 90% of us are not present on that journey to work. So how about being present in the shower? 60% of us are not in the shower when we're in the shower. We're thinking about something else, our 9 a.m. meeting, or who we just chatted to at the gym, or what we've got to do today. So what's the value of being present at work with your team, your colleagues, your family, your friends? It's priceless. So let's do a quick example. Let's be mindful right now. So this is a practice that you can do in most places. On the bus, at your desk, at the gym, on a walk. Might not be so easy while you're driving, so I'd avoid that one. So let's try. Close your eyes or focus on a spot in the room. Tune in to your senses. So hear the noises. Feel the temperature in the room. The air on your skin. The feel of your feet or your shoes on the ground. The pressure your body puts on what you're sitting on. The headphones that you've got on or in your ears. The smell in the air. Now, come back to us in the room. What did you notice? Things you hadn't before, most likely? Now, this is the power of being mindful. You notice, you're aware, self-aware. You're aware of other people. You're aware of what they're saying, but you're aware of their body language. So that gives you the power that 50% of people don't have right now. So you being mindful, you have the power to respond differently than if you'd missed all those cues. How powerful could that be for you? So we now know unhelpful thoughts, however they arise, can stop us doing what we want in life. So how do you benefit if you master the 3 practices? Well, you change how you react. You can become your real self. Be authentic at work and home. You remove the blocks to being successful. You can be in the moment with our children, our family, our work colleagues, our team. Improves trust, improves relationships. You'll start to attract positive people and events in your life because your physiology and your mindset are changing. So back to our challenge. So number 1 was 24 hours of noticing your thought. It's a challenge for just that reason. The second, my challenge to you, is when you notice a thought, ask it a question. So the questions we went through earlier, ask if they're true. Ask if it's always been true. The questions that we covered when we were discussing the exercise earlier will be in a free fact sheet that I'll be sending to you after the event. So the final practice and challenge is to be mindful in the shower. So let's start small. Stay in the shower tonight or tomorrow for the whole time. Feel the water. Smell the body wash. Sense the water temperature. Hear the sounds of the water. You'll find that when you step out the shower, your mind is calmer, you have clarity, you're really in the moment. So being in the moment allows you to control your mind from wandering. Focus on things and people in your life in this moment. So you can respond to them in an effective way. You harness that power. So once you've mastered the shower, maybe move on to your commute to work. So these are our 3 practices. Notice your thought without responding to them. Question them to find the truth and stay in the moment through developing a presence of being in the now, through practicing small acts of mindfulness. So unhelpful thoughts, however they arise, can stop us achieving what we want in life. So is that where you want to be? No, I can see you shaking your head. So at the Eden Collective, which is my coaching and mentoring business, we regularly work with clients to change their lives through mastering their thoughts and beliefs. We lead them on to understand their values, who they really are, and their core identity, as we call it, the real you. So this helps our clients tap into their own excellence. So they might have skills, they might have traits, but once you master your own thoughts and beliefs, you can really let those shine, and that changes your life for the better. So I'd love you to come over to my Facebook page, Eden Collective AU, and tell me how you went with the exercises on today's event. Pop in your comments under my event post, saying what you've put into practice. I genuinely love learning how people apply the new practices on their own journey to excellence. So I said I had a special offer for you, as promised, to everyone on this event who believes in the importance of growth and change. So you've all got access to $150 worth of free value. So here it is. I'm giving everyone the opportunity to 45-minute breakthrough session with me for free. There's only limited spots, so head over to the link, write it down, edencollective.com.au/book-online. So there you'll see a special 45-minute breakthrough session, and you can book that at any time that suits you. There's limited places though, so be quick. Head over there now for a 45-minute breakthrough session with me, and we can really hone in on what beliefs might be holding you back and work with you to make your future successful. So I hope you found it useful. If so, what I'd love you to do is share the techniques with a friend. So at the Eden Collective, we're great advocates of each one teach one philosophy. So we hope that by helping you, you will in turn share your wisdom with another. So that creates a lasting change in the broader world. The world's an amazing place, but it's even better when we share what we have. So we've got some time for questions. We've got about 5 to 10 minutes for questions now. So if you'd like to go over to your comments section, if there's questions about anything we've covered today or questions about what we do at the Eden Collective, feel free to type those into the comments section. You can send those directly to me, or you can direct those through to the group, whichever you'd prefer to do. So I can see a question coming in. Right, okay. So the first question is, how do the programs work? How does the coaching work? So I've got a couple of offerings. So for those driven and committed people who love to grow, we've got an 8-week online program supported by video coaching and written papers and documents to support your learning. So you can learn about yourself. And then every week, we spend an hour. And I personally host a closed group webinar just for us to discuss any questions that you've had about that week's learning, what you found out about yourself, and you might want to ask some questions to embed that learning. So I'm accepting applications for the next program right now. So feel free to book the breakthrough session and we can discuss if that's right for you or your needs. The other option is for those wanting personal one-on-one time. I offer one-on-one coaching. So 2 types, one targeted at leadership and one built around life. So the leadership program, lots of programs focus on developing leadership traits. Mine is a holistic program that delivers development on your leadership traits that you need, specifically you need, but also coaches you to tap into your own excellence, remove your roadblocks, master your thoughts, move those mistaken beliefs that you may hold, line up with your own values that we've discussed today. And then the life coaching program is again a program that focuses on the whole of your life. So it looks at 7 areas of your life, because if your life's out of balance in one of those areas, you'll be underperforming in those other 6. So we look at a questionnaire that looks at 7 areas of your life, and we work together on that to hone in on what would support you in mastering your thoughts, beliefs, aligning to your values, and getting the biggest success, happiness or fulfillment uplift for you. Any other questions coming in? Question about costings? Yeah, absolutely. They are all on my book online tab on my website. So if you follow the link that's on the screen right now, so the edencollective.com.au/book-online, you'll be able to see a breakdown of what we cover in each of the sessions, and also then the cost of any bookings that you might want to make. Okay, so thanks for joining me today. I hope to see you in our breakthrough sessions. As I said, they're limited, so go on over there now before they fill up, and book your own free breakthrough session. I look forward to seeing you in those sessions. Enjoy your day or your evening, and I will chat to you soon, I hope.